Brodes Media.
We got some more things to talk about in regards to this Eagles-Giants game that went down on Sunday. The one that I call an ass-kicking. The one that I call dominant. The one that I call, hey, we got our swagger back. The one that I call Jalen Hurts is a dog. The one that I call so is Jalix Hunt. The one that I call, yo, Smitty, you're a number one. The one that I call A.J. Brown's probably a little sad. The one that I call, hey, Mr. Kevin Patullo, welcome to the party. And that's where we're going to begin. I can sit here and for, I don't know, 3 hours, I could tell you how much I love Jalen Hurts. And damn it, I should do that. And damn it, we'll mix it in. But Kevin Patullo has been crushed, and I mean crushed, by yours truly and by a lot of fans in this city for a long-ass time. And rightfully so. They couldn't complete a first down in some of these games for like 30 minutes. The Eagles offense, that is, they were so abysmal, they couldn't complete a pass in an entire half. Something ain't right when that's the case. And when you hear from Lane Johnson publicly in the locker room that we are just too predictable, and then you hear it from Dan Orlovsky, and you hear it from Brian Baldinger, and you hear it from Emmanuel Acho, and they are breaking down film for the entire world to see, something must be done about it. And to Kevin Patullo's credit, and the staff, and the players, everybody involved in that offensive meeting that we heard about, since then, they've had the answers. And I am going to look right at you, Kevin Patullo, and say, good shit. Good shit. Everything used to look so hard. Now, here's Jalen touching Brett Thoat's ass crack. He gets the ball. He's turning his back to the play. It's a fake handoff play action. Smitty's wide open in the middle of the field. Wide open. Now, yes, Smitty is a damn electric route runner. Some would say maybe the best in all of the land. He is that gross. But he was that gross when you couldn't complete a completion in the second half of a football game. He was still just as filthy in weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 when things made your eyes bleed offensively for good portions of games. He was still nasty then. But I was wondering, when would we see a passing offense where the routes, the concepts, the play design just organically and naturally created separation for some of these studs? I'm watching Smitty wide open with and without A.J. Brown. I'm watching you be less predictable. I'm watching some big-ass men, 6 of them. Here's Fred Johnson from the sidelines running on in. Where do you need me, coach? Let's pancake a motherfucker and put him in the damn turf. It's outstanding, isn't it? It makes me smile. So, Kevin Patullo, thank you. I'm not just going to be some prick that rips you 24/7 when it is an abomination of an offense. And then when I see things I love and when I see things I appreciate, I'm going to hold a grudge. No. This was what it was always about. I need to see an offense that looks like a damn electric offense. And I need you to have answers. And look, you weren't just going to walk in and ho-hum Here they are, no skipping of the beat whatsoever, and it's just going to be perfect from day one. That was never the thought, and that wasn't the bar that I had, and that's why I was so aggravated early, right? I needed competence. I needed it to be where people weren't losing their mind on a national stage because it was so elementary. I need it where my right tackle doesn't blow a gasket after a game's over because he's been in the league forever and understands that this is Bush League crap. This is Pop Warner football crap. This is stuff that happens at U12, okay? 12 and under football. Like, this is so blah. This is never going to work. It was that uncomfortable of a watch. It's crazy that it flips to this level so quickly like that. Like, why did we have to take this path? But we're here. And we're here pretty early-ish. You're 8 weeks in. It's not as if it took them until week 13, week 14, week 15. Okay, let's listen to Kurt Warner as we continue here. So Kurt Warner joined Jacob Sports. And he was talking about the Eagles' offense. And if he is buying into what the Eagles' offense has provided. Here we go.
I didn't really know what their identity was. They throw a bunch one game, and then they try to run a bunch of one game, and nothing was necessarily great. And they weren't happy on any side of it in how they were playing offensively. And so I think, the jury for me is still out on, okay, who are they going to be down the stretch? What are they going to hang their hat on? Throw for 301 game, you come back and run for almost 301. Like, I don't really know. And, you also want to know, are they good enough to do one of those things and say, hey, when all else fails, we know that we can win doing this. That's what they did last year. Last year, they said we knew we could win running the football and playing defense. And we don't care who comes in. We don't care what they try to do to us. We know that we will win in these two phases every single week.
Okay, so I totally understand where he's coming from. You're right. There was something about the arrogance set last season. This is us. It doesn't matter that this is us. You can't stop us. And that's dangerous. And that's why you go and face a Kansas City team and blow them out 40-6. But I also do think part of what makes a team special is they have multiple different ways to decipher a matchup and to kill you. And it's not a bad thing if on a week-to-week basis, you're not necessarily sure on the way the Eagles are going to attack. They can steal your soul by leaning on their offensive line and Saquon Barkley coming alive and taking it 60 to the house and Tank Bigsby even as a complimentary piece as a secondary back could even lower his shoulder and be mean and be tough, and then they rely heavily on their run game that day. But if there is a day where the run game isn't as effective, because for whatever reason, it's not the same as last year. Last year, you had one of the best running games in all-time history ever. And there's a reason why guys don't play with those type of rushing yards year in and year out. This was a historic NFL moment last year, and that's not the norm, right? You can have a very powerful run game, but for it to be, hey, you're going to finish with the best rushing yards to ever do it, it's rare air when that's the case. So that's not this year's run game, and most teams don't have that. So if it is a step back from that area, but you can still pass your way to 300 yards, 4 touchdowns in the air, or it could be a day where we shred you in the run game. Doesn't that, in theory, and I know this is in theory and it's not by practice, but doesn't that make you more lethal? Okay, so maybe that was a little strong. Your strengths are weakened because your run game and defense aren't as lethal, but you have so many different ways to kill them that if some of your other areas of the game are heightened from last season. Does it even out? Does that make sense? If your run game's a little weaker, but your pass game has more creativity and sexiness to it, and Jalen can beat you with 300 yards in a way that was different from last season, and the passing game evolves and adapts and gives you some more juice, does it even itself out where you're still just as phenomenal? It's just a different way. And what I'm trying to get to is, I think we get so stuck on this is how they did it last year without realizing that it doesn't matter how they did it last year. All of these teams that have a window of real dominant football have to have some sort of facelift throughout their journey. There was a Chiefs team that was centered around Tyreek Hill and Pat Mahomes. Then there were Chiefs teams that ran with Spags and Chris Jones and the defense sort of being their DNA. And you had Travis Kelce more in the prime. This year's version, Travis Kelce's clearly on the back nine. They're waiting for Rice to come back, and he eventually did. And it's a new way of the Kansas City Chiefs. It can't always be about what worked in one of those years. When you have a 5-year window, it's always going to have different layers, different looks, different brands. And I'm trying to spin it positively. I get that as a very optimistic fan, but a fan with knowledge and brains. If you head into a game against the Eagles, let's say Kurt Warner is their defensive coordinator, however the hell that happens. And he goes, I don't know how they're going to run their offense today. Isn't that a scary question? And it could be just as lethal of a question as, how are we going to stop Saquon in that offensive line, and how are we going to score on that defense? Because that's what it was last year. We know what's coming, but then the question is, how do we stop it? And there was never any answers, which is absolutely a way to, clearly show your dominance and have the power and everything. But there's also a gift in confusion, because they don't know exactly what's going to pan out. They don't know what version of Jalen it is. Is it Jalen throwing darts all over the field and finding seams and anticipatory, and yeah, sure, throwing the ball with anticipation? Is it Jalen just throwing dots all over the field? Is it a mix between that and Saquon and some 6-man fronts up there with Fred Johnson and just great blocking? Is it Bigsby who's going to run you over? I wonder if the confusion heading into the week is something that identifies this team. Because you don't know, because they have a lot of layers to them. And they do it in many different ways. And whatever the defense is trying to do, boom, we have the answers. I'm fascinated. I'm fascinated to see if that's sort of what they're all about.